How do you help the kids avoid instrument assembly blunders? And what are some of the things to really watch out for, Lynn? Go for it, and we'll hear your your recent experience with this.
Okay, once again, I'm getting my student model instrument out. I'm not going to attempt this with my own horn. I'm going to set my vocal aside. And as you know, we have a very large bottom joint. It's one very solid, quite heavy piece, which should be replaced back into its case very carefully. But because of the weight, the large weight of this thing, have them be very, very careful with it. The one thing that I encounter the most regarding folks putting this instrument together outside of the case, especially if they're in a hurry. So if you can imagine your band student a little bit late, their friend kind of waylaid them in the hall on the way to band, they're hurrying, they take the boot joint out of the case, they grab the wing, or this is two different names, it's the same joint, but the wing joint or the tenor joint, called the wing because of that concave shape there. So they'll grab both of them together like this out of the case. And they will take those two joints and they will jam them in and stuff them. Sometimes if they're actually a little bit more careful, they'll have the case on the floor so it's stable instead of on a chair, but sometimes you see it done on a chair, and they'll put the bottom of the boot joint on that case, and then when they push hard enough down in there, they can do some real damage. They can damage a lot of different things, including the case and the chair, not just the bassoon. So unfortunately, with so many student model instruments having a body lock, and the kids generally see that lock, and that's, in this case, it's this little mechanism up at the top of the wing joint, they leave it locked permanently in life. And then when they take it, they try to take the instrument apart again, they try to pull them both out together at the same time, which is actually very difficult. So these two parts of the instrument never even come apart. They're supposed to come apart. If you don't take them apart, the instrument will suffer for it. So one joint at a time. Boot joint, what I usually tell beginners is have them look at this, have the smaller of the two holes on the boot away from their body so that they can then put the wing joint, you'll notice that concave part, so that they twist, and always twist, keyword is twist. It's really difficult to stuff a joint in when you're twisting it. So have them twist. That way they can see, I'm not sure how focused I can get, but they can see to line up the concave part of the wing joint with the larger tone hole. That way they know they've got it in the correct position, so the low E mechanism can actually close the whisper key. Pretty important for your kids to be able to play their low register. Long joint comes in separately and is then twisted in, and then the kids can line it up and lock the body together. So if you can just impress upon them the crucial aspect of twisting, it's going to be really difficult for them to get the joints out separately at the same time and then stuff them violently down into the boot joint. Also, cleaning the thing out. Most students will catch on to the aspect of, yes, okay, I suppose I need to clean this part out because this is where most of my spit goes, right? Yes. But cleaning the boot joint out as well, not only will it be so much nicer for you, the band director, but it's going to be so much nicer for the kid and their parents. So with the wing or tenor joint, again, same thing. Just envision that clarinetist dropping the drop weight down the bell. It's basically what we're doing. I encourage the use of silk drop swabs. They dry much more quickly. They don't cause the student's case to smell like mildew quite as soon. Okay? So always against the direction that the water goes in. The boot joint, and this is a big one, the boot joint can actually be dried out. It doesn't have to stay full of whatever the student ate before they played the bassoon. Just get us started on toothbrushing before we play. So what they're going to do to swab the boot, this is called a drop chain or a drop weight. We're going to drop it down, make it this high enough so you can see it, down the larger of the two tone holes. Give it a little slack. Jiggle, 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 jiggle. It pops out the smaller of the two tone holes where the wing joint went in. Have them pull it through. I usually encourage my students to just let it sit like this for a second. Double check, maybe this is the perfect time to take their seat strap, roll it up, put the seat strap back in the case, then pull it all the way through. Also, a little bit of a drying motion at that tenon receiver, and it's going to make it nice and odor-free and drier and a lot more sanitary for your students as well. So swabbing is actually part of assembly because it's part of disassembly.
Okay.
Keep it clean.
One of the things that you pointed out, well, with assembly that I want to make sure that you talk about also is just the bell and the B flat key. It might be something you want to point out as well.
Yep. I see two things happen a lot with assembly with younger kids, and I'm going to hold this so that you can see it. As Jake was just referring to, we have a very long key mechanism. Oops, turn it the correct way. Long key mechanism for lowest B flat. So if you have them press on that pad cup while they are twisting, you can see that what happens is it raises that key and brings it away from the body of the instrument, and they are so much less likely to bend both in the process. If they don't, when they twist them together, those two keys will meet each other, and you can have some really, you can see the play in that key. Yeah, you can have some really, really well bent keys to the point where the kid has their bell at some crazy angle just to try to be able to close this key. The other one that's really big, and I think every bassoonist in the world has done this at least a few times. When the kid goes to put the vocal in, have them not grip the instrument tightly like this, because what they may be doing is they're going to close the whisper key and bring it inward so that when they go to twist the vocal into the top, what they do is, if this is too close, hopefully you guys can see this, if this is too close, they will rip that pad right off. If they do not have a pad on their whisper key, the air will be allowed to freely exit that tiny tone hole. They will not be able to get their low register to speak, and you will be frustrated. So talk about squawking. That's the unintended side of squawking. If their instrument is not mechanically functional, it's really tough for the kids to not be offensive in your rehearsals.
Excellent. Todd, you got anything to add to that?
I was just going to ask Lynne if she had anything she wanted to add about putting in the vocal and taking it out as far as how to hold it, because my last day of school in my 7th grade year, the first thing I did when I got home from school was break the eyelet off of my Linton vocal as the whisper key was closed, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get the vocal into the wing joint. So I imagine you probably spent some time showing how to properly hold the vocal to the folks and not get the pull down crease that we sometimes get and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So always at the crook. If you catch them doing this, please try to stop them immediately, or you will wind up with a split vocal and a lot more money out of your band budget.